So we finally got enough information on the bad guy side to come up with a plan. Uh-oh.
He's busting.
You wouldn't like Hero. Sorry, you said that. I thought of the Ghostbusters theme. Bustin' makes him feel good. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone-Faced Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Justin, and we are here with the new episode of Gundam seed for so long now. For so long. This will be new one for me. Obviously it's new for Justin. So, from here on out, the only thoughts are going to be theories and breakdowns.
I think we're one shy, because we're episode 17, correct?
Yeah, you're looking at the board. I haven't even brought up the board yet. Don't worry about that.
God.
I'm looking at the OBS window, which has all of us on it, and obviously over here I've pointed out before it's the Discord, and over here I have the board up. So I've been seeing your little red mouse pointer just zooming around on the map out of the corner of my eye. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll introduce everything. I just have that. Haven't brought the board up yet. So first off, though, we have comment. We have Mr. Fricky Zero from the Patreon from the episode Burning Storm. The wire shot and connected with a magnet likely to the strike to use contact-based comm systems that work by passing vibrations directly from suit to suit, seen in some other Gundam shows.
Makes sense.
I'm pretty sure it's what we said. So, I guess actually, you know what? Before we get to the board, let's do your recap. What you remember happening last time.
Alright, so last episode, we were in the Rebellion's base camp for most of it. However, Flay continued her manipulation of Kira, and there was a physical altercation between Kira and I, where Kira was like, "Don't touch me," and wouldn't listen. And Kira was not the world's best friend.
No, real big asshole.
At all.
I describe him as the biggest asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. That all happened while Kigali? Yeah. While Kigali was also headed to talk to Kira. So really, there was just multiple people saw Kira be a real dick.
Well, I mean, Kigali is the only one that wasn't.
Have to deal with that.
Kigali was the only one that wasn't in there, though. Everybody that saw Kira being a dick was
100%.
involved with Kira being a dick, except for Kigali.
100%. And then the other big point was a 15-minute warning to evacuate a city before it gets bombed.
To be fair, I think it's a town. I think they described it as a town. I'm only bringing up the difference because conceptually there is a population difference, size difference between a city and a town.
1,000,000%. Town.
Probably a smaller percentage than that, though.
But still.
Sorry, that was
15 minutes ain't much time.
Sorry, I had to play the joke while you were giving that. Your 1,000,000% or your 100%, your catchphrase, as it were. There's a population difference. You say 1,000,000%, and it's like, no, I think it's smaller than that.
Nope, 1,000,000% population difference.
All right, let's bring up the board. The first thing I'm going to do is delete all of that. And yes, as you brought up before, you thought we were one episode around. No, I just forgot what episode we recorded and when I put up the number. So time to delete that as well. So this is actually what the board looked like the last time we recorded, me and Griff. And I had just been recreating that as best I could on the sideboard for you. But now this is our board. It's no longer that old board. Unfortunately, I'm also realizing Griff's old shit is still on here. Griff was trying to do the John Madden thing of making like little line connections himself, but he did it in black. So there's fucking black on black.
Ah, a lot of people have been killed so far.
Well, I mean, we know, right? These people here got killed in like the first couple of episodes. They're the
Yeah,
people who like tried to go in and take the Gundams and failed. Zellman died a couple episodes ago. Uh, his ship was too far down in the atmosphere and he couldn't pull out. So that's why the entire ship is X'd out here.
got it.
Uh, who else? Uh, Atherin's mom obviously died in the backstory.
Indeed.
This guy just got shot in the same episodes we just talked about.
Yep.
Who else is dead? We don't know. Technically, we don't know if the Artemis people are dead or not. It very much looked like they blew up in the background. So,
Yeah, I
question
get the
mark
mystery
though.
there, but yeah.
Clearly Flay's dad is dead. Otherwise, Flay is going on a real hard journey for no reason. Let's see.
Yeah.
The admiral that he was on the ship with is obviously dead.
1,000,000%.
And the other people in the fleet area who stood up and died as well. Otherwise, also, these are the new people from last episode. We have the rebel faction over here. And then we have
Yep.
the new guys over here that are the new... I was about to say Xeon. The new zaft guys over here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that is our up-to-date board. Do you have any comments about the board?
This one's a bit more organized. I like it. No comments about the board.
I don't know if it's been more organized. I don't like the layout of it because compared to future boards. Future boards being boards I made after this one. However, it is
Got it.
more open at the very least.
It
If you
it
want to,
breathes more.
yeah, if you want to compare it to the Tangled Mess, is the Full Metal Alchemist board that I showed you the other day. Because otherwise, on this one, you have the oh shit, what are they called? Like the Earth Alliance people, all over here on this thing. So they're their own like column, and then the allies to the Earth Alliance people, the rebels, are over here, hang on this side. Then you have all the
Yep.
zaft people over here in this column, and then the zaft people on Earth just extended out, and then just all the kids right here in the very center, so everything can be tied to them.
Yeah. 1,000,000%.
That is the organizational theory behind the board.
Yes, I'm happy to see Desert Rambo on here as well.
Yep. There was something else I wanted to bring up here, but I cannot remember what it was. So I think I just go into the Theta's thoughts that I had written down. This time it's
Oh
the
yeah.
Theta's thoughts from the past few episodes. Oh, no, I remember what it is. I'm going to send you. Actually, I didn't download them, but I did find that I had them listed before. So, one moment. I'm going to send you a couple of images that I'll eventually put in the recording here. But here is image one. The blast hitting the troop transport. Not the troop. Well, technically, it was a troop transport, but it was used to evacuate. I almost want to say hostages, but the civilians. You can
Civilians,
see
yeah.
Elle being held by her mother as the blast hits.
Yep.
No doubt that blast is a deadly blast as it's cut right through the ship. And then,
You can live that, just walk it off.
well, I mean, the explosions are starting to happen here in the next image. Again, Ellie's
Yep.
mother trying to shield her from the blast.
Still walking it off.
Well, unfortunately, not so much here in
Mm,
image 3, where someone's head is being torn from their body, and you can see Ellie also being lifted and pulled away from her mother by the explosion.
You
Also,
got Band-Aid
some
for that one.
clear blood. And
Yeah.
more sadly, here in image 4, you can see Ellie's head has been torn from her body. As I get, maybe her mother's still holding her body, but again, these are extra details of brutality that they did not have to add, but chose to. given that this all plays out in like 1 second. You have to frame by frame to notice the choices that the animator took. Specifically here, Mother's completely in the blast now, completely gone. Ellie's head is the only thing that remains. That dear, sweet little girl who you saw wandering the ship with
Yeah.
childlike abandon, playing with the main character, just very carefully holding
Yeah.
glasses of water on a tray. Her send off by the animators
Gone.
is to have her head ripped from her body in a 1 second of animation.
I respect the commitment.
I think it is terrible. But it was worth noting because otherwise you'd be like, well, what really did happen to Ellie? Well, I feel like y'all need to really understand how horrible it fucking was.
It's true. The atrocities of conflict.
Anyway, my thoughts from before. I've broken down my thoughts. I actually have separated my previous thoughts from the last few episodes from the episodes from specifically last time. So I've written down pre-episode 16 thoughts. So Bad Girl suggested taking Kira's parents hostage in order to get him to fight. Crazy, right? At least the hostage taker is adequately named Bad Girl. On a larger appraisal of the situation, it does kind of feel like her position is one where those with abilities or skills that are useful should be made to serve. I have to wonder then if that means the history of coordinators is one of second-class citizenry rather than the next step of evolution, like it seems George meant it to be. I know Flay has been our point of reference character for anti-coordinator racism, but it feels like Bad Girl's reasoning behind forcing Kira to serve might extend out further than just this incident.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the history of it.
Well, we saw a backstory episode featuring how coordinators were seen. Did you ever see the Animatrix?
No.
It was the animated movie that came out after the Matrix, and it had a feature that was like the backstory of the Matrix called 01, I think it was called. The Animatrix is like a compilation of different animated features supposedly set in the Matrix universe, but in different parts and different times. So this one part called 01 is basically where the intelligent machines come from, their evolution in society, how humanity doesn't see them as intelligent at all, and basically tries to destroy them. And so it's like the beginnings of the war, how the war started, and how humanity becomes batteries.
Got it.
So I feel like that backstory episode that we got very much kind of mimics the feel of 01 in that we see where coordinators come from and then how they get treated.
I agree with that. I think we're gonna see down the road a further explanation of the history of coordinators. And I think it's very possible that it's more treated like start off being treated like prize bred animals.
I mean, it still bears the same impression that I was giving here. That
Mm-hmm.
this is more of a systemic problem amongst the naturals than it is one random person. And just for, I guess, if not you, then the audience's remembrance, Bad Girl said, hey, Kira's parents are naturals, they live on Earth. We could just take them hostage, and he'll have to fight for us. She says that in the scene with Admiral, what's his name? The guy I said seemed like a good guy, but was so pro-war that I don't think he was actually a good guy.
Correct. Correct. I I think so. The amount of questionable morals within war make me really want to understand what the.
Sorry, your
I
last
want to say
sentence broke up
international, but
there.
it's more than that. So the amount of questionable actions taken in the events that we've seen makes me really want to understand what is the actual legal process behind the choices being made. And what is currently legal and illegal within the frame of conflict and war.
Right. I mean, we previously discussed that it seems like we have a darker legal system at play, that a bunch of things that are considered war crimes in our real world are just fair game in this no holds barred war.
Exactly. Because
Next
we're
up.
talking about kidnapping families to force people into conflict.
Well, I mean, in fairness, when Batgirl makes the suggestion, the Admiral, like, knocks her down a peg and she, like, backs off immediately. Like, she really, very clearly thought the Admiral was going to be on her side in this regard. And then he's like, what the
Correct.
fuck are you talking about? All
It
right.
also makes me think that we are possibly going to see everybody who is a part of this ship in a command position get reprimanded by somebody down the road because of the fact that they've gone and made the choices they've had to with such abandon for the people that it would affect.
I don't know. It feels weird that they would do that and also give us an episode of fake reprimand against Kira, if without them ever talking about their own problematic positions.
Well, because I think the reason we got the one with Kira was because Kira wasn't technically in a military position, so they talked about it, but
Right? No, no,
there's
no. I'm saying
only so much.
I understand that, and I understand why they did it, because mostly it was also narratively to keep Kira in his place, leading back to how we consider coordinators and systemic racism in that respect. But, I mean, more so, it feels like if they were going to do that, then they would also have had a scene where, like, I don't know, Lacroste, and, not, that's Rao. Sorry, I'm somehow forgetting your second favorite character. Let's see, his name is LaFlaga. Sorry, the fact that
Yeah.
Rao and Mu both have La, I think they do, don't they? Yeah, no, sorry, Rao has La, L-E, and Mu has La, L-A. Anyway,
Yeah.
LaFlaga, Bad Girl, or Marius, sorry, Ramius. I'm getting all names wrong today. My brain ain't working well today, people. So if you got this far, just know that they would have had a conversation between themselves about their own dubious legal positioning. It feels like would have been
Yeah.
the rational thing to do there, so we, the audience, would have both things in mind and not just Kira's position.
Yeah, like that's very much a hopeful sort of thing versus a what do I expect to see?
All right, next up. When Lacus asks what they are really fighting against, questioning the motives of the war, I appreciate that after she leaves, Rao twists the point around to mention to Athrun how Yazik's been injured, and he best put some effort in, lest that be him next. It's a rather effective flip of Kira's own motivations to protect his friends.
Yeah.
Well, because Kira has been constantly telling Athrun every time they have this really weak argument in space, why are you siding with the Naturals? Why are you fighting for our enemies? And he's like, my friends are over there. Over and over again, he says this. And Rao is like, you better start fighting harder. Look at Yazik. He's fucking injured. That might be you next. And even though he pulls that you might be you next thing at the end, it's very much a Rao's, you better help or your friends are getting hurt.
Yeah, I think it's also a case where I don't it depends on the level of connection that coordinators have. Like it seems like it very much might be coordinators aren't a close-knit community.
They seem like people like the rest of us. They have families. Sorry, they have families. They have memorial cruises to honor the dead.
I'm not so yes, they have families and all that, but it seems like the value might be more placed on what they do as in like how they use the gifts they've been given versus who they are and they're actually going through.
I mean, they clearly also have civilians, so I mean, I don't know.
True. But that also goes back to the idea of like specialty dog breeds, where it's like it could be a point of pride to even have a civilian coordinator as your child.
I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I think if their society was that way, it would be a bit more clear every time we see them. Like the fact that we're having not Atherin's dad. Whose dad is it? It's Lacus's dad. We see Lacus's dad at a press conference about the memorial trip to honor the victims of Janus 7. Sorry, off the top of my head is not a good way to do this, but um, it feels like a society that would be so ingrained as to have specialty breeding amongst people like that would be, I don't know, Spartan level, like very in line people. We
So
wouldn't
it's
even
one of
need.
two. It would be one of two considerations. Um, it would be either like Captain America / Winter Soldier level or Spartan level. One would be you are here to serve this purpose. This is what we need you to do. Yeah, you have a family. Sure, develop connections. However, this is your position
I think that
versus being celebrated and being at the top of society because your job is coordinator. You are the best at what you do.
I guess the thing that I think I'm not saying is the fact that they have non-military. But I feel like if you were doing this very stringent society build, that you wouldn't everybody would just be part of the military. Why have a civilian infrastructure if you could just have military infrastructure doing the same thing? Why have pop
Yeah,
idols, right? Why have pop idols when you could just have shit, what are they
because that's
called?
elements of
No, no.
control.
Yeah, but if you let me finish, and unfortunately I didn't finish because I couldn't fucking think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you seen Red October, right?
Yep.
What was the call? What are the Soviet officers called?
If I'm gonna remember that.
Ah, God, it's not propaganda officer. It's what not morale officer. Basically, their entire purpose is to make sure that you're obeying the ideology of the state. That every decision that's being made on board.
1,000,000%. I know what you're
Political
talking about.
bureau. They're the political bureau.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you wouldn't need pop idols. You would have political bureau officers. You know, it's the fact that they have a civilian whole anything, and that their organization. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like, even though they're being like genetically messed with. You said you didn't see Gattaca, right?
No.
Yeah, and Gattaca is one of those things that, at least I would say my generation, I had to watch at school in regards to like biology class and everything, where every eventually the human race reaches a point where everybody gets genetically modified just to like weed out like genetic defects at birth and whatnot, so that
Uh-huh.
normal humans are the naturals in this show are the weird ones out and can't like get normal jobs because everybody is weeded out for any problem that they might have. Normal people are janitors, basically.
Got it.
Um, so yeah, it feels more like a Gattaca situation than it does a Sparta with Captain America in charge of it.
I've been more getting the vibe that if you are a natural, the expectations are not there for you to be anything more than just not exceptional is the wrong word. Committed.
Well, the problem therein is that we have already entered into this with a society that's already in half. Zaft is all coordinators as far as we can tell, and the Earth is all naturals, so there's no expectations of a natural to be anything in Zaft other than a criminal. You know, what are you doing here? You're a natural. And our flashback episode was literally naturals cannot suffer a coordinator to live, it seems. So
Correct. I think being a coordinator is far more special than we are giving it credit. I think it is truly like a hyper, like the equivalent of a hyper expensive thing in order to be brought into the world a certain way.
well, I mean, it's basically what you said already, Captain America amongst everybody else.
Yes, and I think the expectations there are like it's okay to do whatever is required to give yourself that edge, aka having a coordinator.
Well, I mean, obviously not when it comes to Earth and everything. Again, we have the systemic racism problem that's shown.
Yes.
Except, I guess, with Kira, since his parents are naturals and they decided to have a coordinator as a son. So, the fact that you can just cross these boundaries, and that there is specifically neutral ground where these two sides can come together, like Heliopolis was one, sort of.
Yeah. I think there's more. I think there's more reason why Heliopolis was attacked. I think we're going to learn more.
Well, no, I think it was the reasoning that we have is perfectly acceptable. Remember, the Earth is doing a secret weapons project there on neutral ground. I think that's 100% all the reason that was needed to attack Heliopolis.
You could be correct.
That's
That's just a suspicion that I have.
I could be correct is all that I could possibly want from that scenario. I mean, well, not all I could want. I could be entirely correct, which would be 100% of what I would want from that scenario, but could be is what I'll accept for right now. Next up, in Sai's defense, Kira could have said no when Flay came to him. Even if no one knew Sai and Flay were engaged, it was obvious that they were a couple. Even I doubt Kira was blind enough not to have seen that, which means that he is willfully cucking his friend that had come to his aid when it seemed like everyone had turned their back on him when his status as a coordinator had been revealed.
Uh okay, to play devil's advocate in this situation,
Go for
because
it.
think there is valid points for Kira. One, that responsibility is not on Kira.
Sure.
That responsibility is on Flay. However, the responsibility to be a good friend to Sai is on Kira.
Well, you didn't say what the responsibility is then. That's the problem. That's why I was like, no, because I'm going to say bro code, man. Bro code. So, what is the responsibility?
So, in that situation, if there is a previously established relationship between Sai and Flay, Kira technically is not doing near as wrong as Flay is in that situation
I don't know, man.
because of that connected. Now, is it fucked up for Kira to do that to Sai? Yes. And his response, even more fucked up, which at the end makes him equally problematic.
I guess we're agreeing on things while at the same time, I don't know. I don't have a disagreement with what you're saying. It's just the way you're saying it makes me feel a bit wrong on it. What you're saying essentially is that Flay is the one who's in the most wrong here, but Kira still
Correct.
did the wrong thing.
I'm not even so. I'm not saying that Kira initially did the wrong thing because we did not see any interaction of trying to remedy or anything. If we saw the context where he just went with it right away, then they're both equally fuck you like wrong.
I'm working only with the implication because that's the only thing we've seen, and the implication is that Kira just went with it, which is why I'm saying he's 100% in the wrong.
And even then, Flay is still more in the wrong because technically Kira is not going against an agreed upon relationship.
I do not
that was
think
previously established.
if he is going against a relationship that's previously established. They've been holding
What
hands.
relationship is he in? What relationship is he in?
Who, Kira?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That doesn't matter what relationship Kira's in. It's the relationship that Sai and Flay were in that Kira's working against.
So
Kira's
if
own
someone,
relationship has no effect on how
but
wrong he is.
it absolutely does. If you are single, you cannot. You see what I'm saying?
No, this is the same. Here's the thing. My argument is you don't hit on a married woman. And some people out there are like, sure, why not? She might be unhappy. And it's like, well, let her get divorced first. I'm saying don't hit on a married woman. And you're like, Flay's not married. No, she's in a relationship. Let her break things off with Sai first. Kira can say, what's your relationship with Sai? And maybe she said, maybe in the wrong as she is, she says nothing and keeps going. But at the same time, your obligation as Kira is to confront Sai about it, not to keep going and let this all blow up. He's Melrose placing this.
Oh,
He's
million percent.
90210ing it. That's what I'm saying. He is culpable.
I agree with you. I agree with you that he is not handling it correctly.
It is a time factor, I feel like, on who is more to blame. Flay is initially 100% to blame for what she's doing. Then, Kira, not interacting with Sai at all, over time becomes as culpable as Flay is.
Now, there's one thing that we are not taking into account. Trauma bonding.
I'm not taking that into account because I'm not a therapist.
100%. And as much as we don't know the effects and if trauma bonding is there, it is absolutely possible that the bad choices are being made because of pressure and trauma bonding and not knowing how to handle actions after they've occurred.
Yeah, I'm not arguing against that. I'm arguing from the outside perspective of, like, people rubbernecking at a car crash, right? Like,
yes.
I'm not in an informed position other than knowing what caused the car crash. Other than that, I'm not a lawyer nor a doctor.
Absolutely.
Alright, let's see. Next up. Looks like Rao is getting called back again due to his failures, but they dropped that there is a larger plan afoot that our Zaft side could get involved with once he gets back.
I think the call back for the failures thing might be a cover for indeed a larger plan.
I think my problem here is that I was informed by outside material. And by outside material, I mean that... What have I told you about Gundam Seed before? In the meta? About how it was written and everything? Did I tell you anything?
I'm not sure.
Gundam Seed is like a reboot, or not a reboot, like a rewrite improvement, or it was meant to be, of a different Gundam show?
Yes, you have said that.
Right. Did I say which show?
Was it Universal Century?
Right. I guess this is vague enough not to be a huge spoiler. I'm trying to tiptoe my way through a minefield. So, I don't think this is vague enough. I was informed by a different show that has a similar writing structure and motif about it, about what possibly can be happening. And if we were watching both shows side by side, one for one, similar events would be taking place in both because of that sort of improved rewrite sort of thing that was supposed to be taking place. So, in that respect, I'm kind of informed. However, I will say here, did not get far enough into that other show either to see if there was any payoff. So, 100% supposition on both sides.
Understood.
Again, crawling through a minefield, just trying to put the armor up to make sure that I'm not spoiling anybody, or anybody in the comment section might think I'm spoiling something. Otherwise, next up, we saw in the flashback episode that neutron jammers attached to drills were dropped all over the planet. Andrew, one of the new characters on the board, mentions it later and says that anything with electronic waves would be affected. Then Delita, a not new character on the board, in fact, one of the first characters, says radio waves and fission-based energy are also affected. not so much a question. I think I had a question attached to it before, but I just decided to leave it here. It's just a factual thing to let us remember and see if you had any comments to make about it.
No. I think it's smart to have the military tactic of jamming the jamming communications.
All right, and now I have the comments that I've been sitting on for 16 episodes now from the original time I went through it, and my actual thoughts about episode 16. This first one isn't going to make any sense to you, and I would normally not include this because it references a show you haven't seen, but by God, I want to make it for the comment section, or at least anybody who's listening. And this is going to make sense to you in the first sentence either. The comparison I was making last episode, which is 16 episodes ago with Griffin, so
Yep.
Witch from Mercury equals Dawn of Fold / Gundam seed equals Desert Dawn. I did at least appreciate that the crew of Archangel did recognize that the enemy of their enemy might not be their friends, and entered into a first contact expectations of things might go south. That last part actually does work for you.
Yes.
Witch from Mercury.
Cool references. I agree with the parts that I understood.
Yeah, well, Witch from Mercury is probably my second favorite Gundam now. You know that we're going to start Origin after we finish Pluto, right?
Yep.
Origin, I think, is sitting at my number one favorite Gundam series. So that's
Got
only
it.
6 episodes. But and Witch from Mercury was like 24 or 23. So let's see. The only reason I could guess that Kigali would go to punch Kira right off the bat after seeing he was the pilot would be that she was trying to find her way to the Gundams when he basically hijacked her plan and forced her into an escape pod. That she is grateful to still be alive, but angry that he just went and did what she wanted. I mean, she's upset that he's piloting it and for Earth Force, so clearly there are levels to it. My theory, anyways.
It has it been established that naturals cannot effectively
It hasn't been
pilot Gundams?
it hasn't been established, but it's been said multiple times that everybody that the Earth Force had tried to get to pilot the Gundams could barely get it to walk. I think
So
it was implied in the first episode that the pilots, that the 5 that they were bringing on board that died in the explosion, were like the best of the best, and that LaFlaga was there to help train them, even though LaFlaga himself has not shown any aptitude for trying to get into the Gundam.
Okay, so if that's the case, could it be we have a secret coordinator?
Yeah, his name is Kira.
No, not Kira.
I don't know. We don't know anything about Kigali. Again, it's my supposition that she was trying to get to the Gundams herself. That's not even fact. It's all theory from me.
So if I'm just going off of that theory, where if that theory is true, then we could make a line that there's a higher likelihood that she is a coordinator but hiding it.
Well, we do know that the people at the Desert Dawn are trying to hide something about her. Because they're always being like a little hush hush about keeping her away from everybody or not telling them too much. And we haven't seen her do anything, really, other than punch Kira. Or try to punch Kira, which she failed to do, just like every other person who tries to punch Kira. Which might imply that she's not a coordinator, and that the only people who have tried to punch Kira so far were naturals and failed.
Or it could be a test to see. Like, we don't know.
Yeah, maybe she just hasn't busted her nut yet.
It's true.
Alright, next up. The maps that the Desert Dawn are using are just old, and I know I brought it up in when we were watching, but it was a question I had when I was watching it with Griffin originally, because it's like, what the fuck is the Etherian Sea, or Ethiopian Sea? And that's the answer to that question. The Ethiopian Sea, or ocean, was used in classical maps up to the turn of the 19th century.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they're just, I guess, showing off that they're a rebel organization that doesn't have a lot in the way of resources, that they're using turn of the century maps. or turn of the 19th century maps, considering how much older the show is from the 19th century.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, I mean, I guess the coastline hasn't really changed, so it doesn't really. All right. Let's see. They covered earlier in the episode that they lived in the towns, and the place they took Archangel was only a base. Even going so far as to name Tassel as one of those towns. So Waltfield attacking Tassel near the episode's end wasn't just some dramatic attack on civilians. It was retaliation for the dead pilots that got killed when we first met the Desert Rose. He even says earlier in the episode that he'd have preferred to not do something so drastic. So when they do attack, he gives a 15-minute warning before we see those rockets go off, which is why we see the truck drive off towards the town to warn the civilians. So they play well symbolically for a later scene, but for Waltfield, I think it's showing that he's not entirely heartless.
The problem is 15 minutes, even. Hold on, I'm gonna look at. I need to look up a definition of something.
Well, while you're looking it up, I'm going to quickly devil's advocate here. 15 minutes is more than enough time to call the Archangel or your base and get a military unit out there to fight back. So if you're trying to perform a shock and awe campaign with no counterattack, you're going to do it in the briefest amount of period possible.
1,000,000%. So, the definition of a town ranges anywhere from 1,500 to 50,000 people.
Again, you're using actual definitions. We don't know if this universe is
100%. So, even if we take away a 0 from that based off the state of Earth, which might be wrong, that is still 15 minutes for 5,000 people. Or possibly.
Oh, the question lies, I think, in your indication here is it possible? And I'm going to say, yeah, maybe. Maybe it's possible. Is it likely? No, likely not. But then again, there's always a certain percentage of people that won't evacuate no matter what. So there was
1,000,000%.
always going to be casualties. My indication here is that he's not entirely heartless. He's trying. How many villains in these kind of shows would just bomb the place? No warning.
Oh, completely. The fact that the warning is there is huge. But 15 minutes is not a warning, man.
I mean, he also laments it earlier in the episode that he doesn't want to do something so drastic, but I guess feels the pressure to do so. I mean, always the argument can be played that, well, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But you're in a war. So
Yeah, no, that I'm not even gonna try and talk about
there
that.
has to be like a
because
military, or not a military, there has to be like a morale argument that I can't let my own men die without recompense, right? If my own men's
Exactly.
morale would be affected horribly if I just sent them out to die and did nothing to fight back or incur the same losses on the people that killed them.
1,000,000%. It's like the idea of if you don't strike back, you will be seen as just accepting the inevitability.
On a battle per battle level, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, when you said that, my first thought went to like nuclear war, and at which case you're like, well, do we want any human survivors to exist? Sorry, I think back to a bunch of 80s World War III style movies that deal with that whole concept of like a rogue bomber or something. And then do we go with oh God, what's it called? What's MAD stand for again? Mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Or do we just say, well, then Russian nukes are coming, and as much as I hate the world to be run by the Russians at the end of the day, I'd rather the human race survived rather than wiping ourselves off of the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
Let's see what's next. At least here, they explain that Archangel can't reach high atmosphere, explaining why flying straight to their target is a problem. At the same time, our rebel leader suggests that they fly across Gibraltar, where we know our other two zaft Gundams and a whole base are waiting to destroy them if possible. and the Lesseps, which I assume is the name of Walter's ship in the desert, is in the way of their only alternative route, assumably also waiting to destroy them.
Yeah, no, they're in a spot.
Yep, in northern Africa. I think we were guessing Egypt before, but I think it's actually more central northern Africa. Last comment, or last Theta's thought here. Just to bookend the thoughts, I guess. Fuck Flay and fuck Kira, I guess. I'm firmly in the Psy camp on this one. I mean, no one owes anyone anything in this life, so if Flay really did just want to leave Psy, then sure. Nothing he can do about it, and nothing owed to him. Of course, that assumes she's not just being a manipulative as fuck, which I have every reason to believe she is being. As for Kira, I mean, Sai was his friend, one that helped him out a number of times. He'd have to have been blind not to see that he and Flay were a thing before. So instead of just talking things out, he tells him he's being a cuck. He's been cucking him. Sorry, I had a real thing about cucking 16 episodes back.
Yeah.
I don't blame Sai for reaching a breaking point with Kira, but then for Kira to pull a coordinator card on him after they'd all been through so much, dealing with all that shit from a we are his friend angle, plus the double down of no one touches Kira unless he wants them to, that I described before, makes him completely insufferable in the moment. But you know what? It's hard not to notice that Sai and Flay are sitting right next to each other in the ending credits. Kira is next to Kigali and Atherin. Sorry, Kira is next to Kigali, and Atherin and Lacus are together, despite what the Kira harem opening seems to lay out.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's
it's a whole thing. Like, I don't yet have a comprehension on the level of trauma bonding that's occurred to actually be able to weigh in with an educated opinion.
yeah. I only realized that I started this with fuck Flay, and I ended it with fuck Flay again. Literally, I just apparently had pre-written out our entire discussion about Cyclane, Cyflay, and Kira 2 months ago before we
Yes.
actually had the discussion.
But I do agree that Flay is being manipulative. I don't know if she to what ends. I think it might just be to for survival.
I don't think so. I mean, it's definitely not purely for survival. But even though she keeps saying he'll defend us, or because he'll defend me, I don't, I don't know. It feels like a situation that she's putting her hand into the stirring pot where another cook isn't needed.
Yeah, no,
However,
completely.
however, devil's advocating myself, um, leaning back to a comment I made, I don't know, maybe 4 episodes ago, when Kira does bust his nut inside the Gundam, he does it thinking about Flay.
Yep.
God, I love saying things super vague because it sounds more funny that way. He's thinking about Flay's discussion he has with her before he gets into the Gundam, and that causes him to go into his own berserker mode. You know, the seed, if you will, whatever the fuck that actually means.
So that's why I'm questioning if it's an extremely high level of trauma bonding.
Yes, but I don't think it's the manipulation factor because she doesn't know that's what's happening when he's in the Gundam. Like she's watching the fighting happening from outside, but from an internal standpoint of what she knows and doesn't know, all she knows is that Kira's fighting better. She doesn't actually know that he's like unlocked his superpower, as it were,
Yeah.
or that what she's doing is the cause of that. Specifically, the
Correct.
unlocking of the seed ability, if that's what we're calling it, versus him just fighting more focused.
Agreed.
All right, well, that's been both of my saved up commentary from months ago. Do you have anything to add yourself before we get into this?
No.
All right then. Well, I say it's been a good 50-minute discussion about possibly 3 episodes.
Yeah.
it's time to get into it and find out, finally, for the first time in a long time here on the channel, what happened next. So let's go ahead and get on into it.
Hell yeah.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
it's just $5 a month. But hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
ではこれよりレジスタンス拠点に対する攻撃を行う。目標は達する。総員登場。
Wait, what? Oh, okay, I was saying the attack on Tassel happened at night. That was clearly daytime.
Okay, we're getting a recap.
Yeah. I was thrown by him saying we're doing the attack. But he also said they're resistance base, which is a different place than Tassel. Again, the additional fuck you to Kira, because they could have had this conversation now, but Kira decided to insult Sai with the, it seems to everyone you're chasing someone that wants nothing to do with you. That's not an invitation to a conversation. That's a, get the fuck out of here. That's the school bullies line. And this is just more of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of what we're seeing is people accepting all is fair in love and war, when realistically that may be the case, but you don't come out of those type of situations unscathed.
Well, it's very much Kira accepting it. I mean, again, my hope is that we get a Sai Back to the Future moment where we see him gripping his fist and he finally stands up for himself for once in the show.
We'll probably get there.
I doubt it. Seems more likely they'll become friends again and come to an understanding, rather than, you know, this moment coming to full fruition. Obviously, also, the story probably doesn't want you to punch Kira out moments before he needs to get into the Gundam. Also, new character there that I've never noticed before. Walter, I think his name was again. I've said it a couple times in the thing there. Was standing next to a woman I've never seen. Try to pick stuff out of the opening now?
I'm just trying to figure out what the hell is going to happen with Kira and all these women, because he seems to have scenes in the opening with so many females.
That's what I mentioned in the thing, that who he's standing next to in the ending, which I guess you're going to have to pay attention to again there, versus who he's with everybody in the opening.
Yeah.
So maybe the opening represents the top of the funnel where all options are available, and the ending is the bottom of the funnel, which is, here's where you're going to end up.
That's possible.
I think it's probably better that they actually sent mobile suits in there.
Yes.
Because then you're attacking infrastructure, and people have the actual... Well, see, if he opens fire here, then never mind, fuck everything I was saying. Okay, there we go, see? People have the wherewithal to say, get away from there, and not shoot people directly, versus a long-range bombardment, which could just indiscriminately kill people.
Correct. This is handled as humanely as it could be, but it's still...
He's blowing up infrastructure and resources, which is all that really care about. We don't know where the carrier is at right now. Lessive, I think it was called. Guess he didn't read his book.
アークエンジェルは動かない方がいいでしょう。確かに別動隊の心配もあります。少佐、言っていただけます？
あ、俺？
スカイグラスパーが。
I was about to say, you've got your new airplane.
じゃ、
Yep.
行ってくるわ。
できるのはあくまで救援です。バギーでも医師と誰かを行かせますから。
あとは頼んだぞ。乗れ、係。
あ、船だ。
Oh, I thought they were actually about to leave without her. Like they wouldn't let her risk herself.
総員、直ちに帰投。警戒態勢を取る。
One might say, literally battle stations.
Exactly.
フレイ。 バカ野郎。
Also, to follow a theme between the last two episodes we recorded, not specifically of seed, don't put your hands on people unless they let you. That's also consent. Or assault, depending on what happens. It is good to see that Sai isn't so narrowly focused on achieving his goals that I mean, we did see him grab Flay there, but he did round the corner with Kira and Flay to see what was going on, rather than pushing what was going on in the middle of an emergency.
では、艦長。
A big part of it too is like how old are the main characters?
気をつけて。
Tweens, I'd have to guess, or
よし、
teens.
行くぞ。
Has to be teens. They're giving them sex scenes. Has to be late teens.
So if it's late teens, they're still in the messy phase of their life. This stuff is gonna happen.
I'm gonna say 16 to 18 for safety's sake, given Japan's age of majority laws.
ああ、あるわけないですよ。戦闘したわけじゃないですから。双方だぞ。そりゃまあ、町の連中の中には転んだの、やけどしたのってのはあるでしょうが。では、引き上げる。
There you go. Have it in their mouth.
それを待って
No,
撃つん
but
じゃない
no
んですか。
casualties.
おいおい、そりゃ卑怯だろう。おびき出そうと思って町を焼いたわけじゃないぞ。ああ、しかし。ここでの戦闘目的は達した。祈祷する。
I like this guy.
町が。
We didn't burn their town down to get into a fight. Let's get out of here.
Yep.
ひでえ。全滅かな、これは。こちらはフラガ。
Well, I mean, you have to also admit it's the only case of a 100% successful campaign that we've ever seen in the show.
敵は。
That is a valid argument.
They even got away without LaFlaga seeing them in a plane. They came in, destroyed the infrastructure, destroyed the supplies, did not cause a single casualty on either side, and then got out successfully. This guy is a fucking military mastermind.
これは。
動ける者は手を貸せ。怪我をした者をこっちへ運ぶんだ。サイーブ。お。
やる。長老。
父ちゃん。係。
無事だったかやる。母さんとネネは。
シャムセリンのじい様が逃げるとき転んだんで、そっちについてる。
そうか。どのくらいやられた？
死んだ者はおらん。最初に警告があったわ。今から町を焼く、逃げろとな。
なんだと？
Also, compare this to the size of a town from your previous description.
Yeah.
食料、弾薬、燃料、すべてな。確かに死んだ者はおらん。じゃがこれではもう
Yep.
生きてはいけん。
ふざけたまねよ。どういうつもりだ？トラウェイ。
That if push comes to shove, you might switch sides when based on survival needs.
何？
どうやら虎はあんたらと本気で戦おうって気はないらしいな。
どういうことだ。
こいつは夕べの一件への単なるお仕置きだろう。こんなことぐらいで済ませてくれるなんて随分と優しいじゃないの、虎は。
なんだと、こんなこと、街を焼かれたのがこんなことか。こんなことするやつのどこが優しい。
失礼、気に障ったんなら謝るけどね。けどあっちは正規軍だぜ。本気だったらこんなもんじゃ済まないってことくらいはわかるだろう。
あいつは卑怯な臆病者だ。我々が留守の町を焼いてそれで勝ったつもりか。我々はいつだって勇敢に戦ってきた。この間だってバクーンを倒したんだ。
So if you want to die, do you prefer they would kill everybody?
Yeah, girl, like you're.
なんだ。来てくれ。
My problem is trying to read what might be the message of the scene, which might be that gentlemanly combat has nothing to do with what a war is about.
No, but I get what I get what the scene is trying to show.
Well, I mean, they're clearly trying to imply that Laflaga is in the wrong for, well, obviously for saying it, but that his viewpoint is wrong. Which is to say that if we agree with his viewpoint, then we are wrong.
No, it's a questioning of, is there morality behind sparing people but eliminating their means to live?
We do know there's a number of towns in the surrounding area, plus they have a different base, so need be, they could relocate. And there's a whole rebel organization to help them relocate.
So what the move did was it effectively forced the civilians to pick a side.
Yeah, which is good for the zaft engagement.
It's great military tactics, but
You're either
arguably,
gonna switch to the side that has the resources to help you survive, or you're going to make the faction that was already against you just that much more militant, which really isn't a loss. They were already against you.
yeah, exactly. What they effectively did was they said, okay, we're not going to kill you. We're going to give you a chance to accept to not be without the means of survival.
This from the people who tried to shoot at mobile suits with... I don't know.
Hey, they didn't have Desert Rambo with them. Desert Rambo can probably take out a mobile suit by himself, you know?
Remember that he's Egyptian Rambo. Desert Rambo already exists. That was Rambo 2. Or Rambo 3. Rambo joins the Mohabbadim at some point in the movies, so...
You're right. I'm sorry that I called it incorrectly. Egyptian Rambo.
なんですって。追ってったなんて、なんてバカなことを。なぜ止めなかったんです、少佐。
止めたらこっちと戦争になりそうな勢いでね。それよりこっちも怪我人は多いし、飯や何より水の問題もある。どうする？
痛いのか？ほら、もう泣くな。
Here, put on a hat.
いいものよ。美味しいぞ。
I mean, obviously there is a human cost to this, and not just like in lives, but... Yeah.
Yep, felt that coming.
そんなにはないんだ。
You can't go and just toss candy at the kids.
Yep.
大和少尉に行ってもらいます。見殺しにはできませんわ。残っている車両でそちらにも水や医薬品を送らせます。
了解。
ハウ二等兵、ストライク発進を。はい。キラ、ストライク発進願います。了解。
There's also got to be some sort of like morale component to seeing the strike show up, and I don't mean like in a good way. remembering that Zaft is the only one with operational mobile suits. So having the same thing that when Flay originally came aboard the Archangel and saw the strike, she said, "Oh my God, am I on a Zaft ship?"
Yeah.
That if you were just a victim of a Zaft attack and you saw the strike show up, you might think that, "Oh God, Zaft is coming back."
I think in this instance there wouldn't be, based because they've seen what Zaft is using.
The rebel fighters have. The people from the village haven't. So if
Fair enough.
Kira were to show up at the village or something like that, they might think, "Oh God, they're coming back to actually kill us."
God, the village. Yeah, yeah.
I guess there's only one way to find out.
Yep.
やはり死んだ方がマシなのかね。仕方ない。応戦する。
You know that old comment of if you kill him, somebody worse will just take his place? I think it's the worst position here if they actually do kill the commander. Because they might get somebody who doesn't care about civilian casualties.
Well, not even that. They might get someone who did care about civilian casualties, but now that the commander's been killed.
Oh, I thought you were going to say in the reverse way. That he's killing civilians to make the morale on the resistance tribe drop.
They might get someone that's pushed to the side of, now we eliminate the rebels at all costs.
Yeah, odds are I'm going to say Ahmed is dead.
Yeah.
It also might just be a pride problem. Well. I haven't made it clear very clearly on Zaft's side of things. So that's why my whelp came, because it's like, well, my boys ain't gonna win this one.
Oh? 救援に来たのか？地球軍が？先日とは装備が違うな。あ？それにビームの照準、即座に熱対流をパラメータに入れたか。
敵は3機だが1機は動けない。
I don't know, maybe he'll survive. This is an anime, and maybe the sand is more cushioned than we think it is.
I think he... I think he's down.
Not to be that guy, but if you hadn't chased after them, he wouldn't be dead right now.
Yeah.
Oh, are you gonna be our that guy? Sorry, different use of that guy. I know I've used it twice in different contexts last minute.
I see what he's doing. Kira the way that Kira's weapons are right now, he can only go after one target at a time.
Depends. It's a whole package of weapons. Right, it's all one battery system.
Yeah.
So we finally got enough information on the bad guy side to come up with a plan. Uh-oh.
He's busting.
You wouldn't like Hero. Sorry, you said that, I thought of the Ghostbusters theme. Bustin' makes him feel good. Yep, unfortunately, here comes out the beam saber.
He gets it now.
Which doesn't involve him shooting shots and wasting power. Ooh, the backflip.
It's not only that. It's every other fight, him hiding behind the shield has helped. And in a conflict of mobility, the shield was only a hindrance.
Yes, I believe King Leonidas said it best. So I guess not so much that guy. Sorry, I'm pulling a Char clone reference. I just think Seed has 3 different Char clones so far. And not exact Char clones, just people who have elements of Char in their personalities or action.
Got it.
Seems that way. That's an insult. Your home sucks. I wouldn't die for it.
Look, he's taking a nap.
He fought Batman. Told you, Kira's a fucking jerk.
Go fuck out of here, Kira.
Your feelings, for one. Feelings are good for protecting your feelings.
Jesus.
And yet they're standing right next to each other in the ending. So yeah, like I said, fuck Kira.
I don't think the ending's a good indicator of who's gonna be connected.
Or who dies. I don't know. Remember she was looking at some picture in a coffin necklace that we can never see. But you know, I mean, I'm still down with the whole fuck Kira thing that I said before. Specifically, he gets into a fight to protect them, right? Because he gets ordered to. And then it's, who the fuck would die to protect this place? And it's like, it's our fucking home, you jackass. Clearly, we would. So what are your feelings gonna protect? Slap in the face? At least we're a return to Gundam where slaps are a thing.
Is Gundam Seed has like gone through its full run, correct?
New characters or just disguised old characters?
戦場で見失ったものが再び戻る日は次回機動戦士ガンダムシード宿敵の牙その影を撃てガンダム
I think that was a combo of both new characters and just disguised old characters.
I think so.
Answer your question. The first 2 seasons ran their course, and then a new movie came out just this year. I think if you've been reading the Discord, there's been a combination. There's been a conversation in the Gundam channel, specifically about the. I posted a image of sales in regards to Gundam stuff, based on blocks of time. I don't think it's specifically quarters. It might be quarters actually over the years. I was more indicating how Witch from Mercury aided in bringing new fans to the franchise, but it is also associated with the fact that Gundam Seed, the movie, I think it's Gundam Seed Freedom or Gundam Seed Destiny. One of those is next season's title, and one of those is the name of the movie. Has earned more money than any other Gundam movie in history. Like, it's like in the billions, and it's like a multiple of the next Gundam movie behind it, which might be the Gundam 00 movie. But yeah, no, the idea being it's been 20 years since the series came out, and then the movie came out this year.
Got it.
I don't know what the source of your question was, so.
It's more for knowledge of trying to predict what's going to happen, because there's certain things that are more finite and certain things that can change.
Well, I am aware that at a certain point, Gundam Seed does veer off from the source material that it serves to try and rewrite and improve. So even trying to take that into account wouldn't help you very much, even though you haven't seen it yet, but will eventually. In which case, you'll just be comparing that to this instead of the other way around. But
Exactly.
but even in that respect, I haven't seen enough of that. Like, we're already past where that was in the story. Although it hasn't done some of the things that were there, so maybe I have that to be surprised by. Like, oh, this is that now. But we haven't been introduced to a series of I have said before that it feels like Gundam Seed took all the characters from that other show, wrote their qualities down on a piece of paper, like in a list, stripped those pieces of paper off into individual segments, threw them in a hat, and picked like 3 of those things. Like, okay, these character traits from these different characters, we'll put into this one character.
Got it.
So, I wouldn't know what to look out for to try and even guess the elements that haven't appeared yet.
I see what you're saying.
Otherwise, thoughts?
Well handled episode. I liked the warning and that people got out. The tactical brilliance is smart. Also, someone needs to put their hands on Kira.
The problem is I've even written down in my Theta's Thoughts section, you don't touch Kira unless Kira wants you to touch him. Both Sai, the commander of Artemis Station, and Flay have all proved that.
Yeah, I think we need to come at some point. We're going to come across somebody that Kira can't just swat away, and he's not going to know how to handle it.
I don't know if I've shared this before, but Kira does have a nickname in the fandom, which I knew, and Griffin knew before we got into this because it got shared a lot between the discussions of what the best Gundam series was. So I don't think it's like a spoiler to tell it to you.
Yep.
Kira's nickname was Jesus Yamato. So it might be entirely plausible that no one will ever show up that way. If I had to guess, I would say maybe Atherin or Rao, but given that I know his nickname, but not the reason why he has it, it's either that or he's gonna die and come back to life. Like, what are the
I can see it.
What are the features of Jesus? Hangs out with a slut. To be fair, I'm not making aspersions to Flay. Mary Magdalene was of a certain profession, which I now feel like I'm shaming that I say that out loud. I do not have any problem with sex workers. You do you. People need that service, and people need to make money to live. So I'm not going to dissuade anybody from doing anything. I thought it was a fun
world's oldest profession.
Yeah, I don't know. Gravedigger might be world's oldest profession because, before the concept of exchanging goods for money existed, somebody had to bury the first person. So, anyway, I thought I was making a funny joke, and I realized people might read that wrong. So, quick clarification on that. Well, yeah. So, Mary Magdalene equals Flay in that joke. What else does Jesus do? I don't see Kira making a lot of bread, or fishing, or talking a lot of sense to people. Dying is the only thing I got. Dying and coming back.
Yeah, I think death could also be a reasoning for him to realize he's being a dick.
I don't know. That really depends on where you go with it. Either that or he'll come back angrier than before.
Yeah, like, I am not sure that it's a majorly fixable thing.
His attitude problem? No. Anything else, though?
No. No, the next time looks like a fun change of pace.
Yeah, I mean, our new Desert Fox in Hawaiian shirts.
Indeed.
Alright then, well, I guess without much other... I mean, obviously I'm going to come back after... Let's see, we record this one, then there'll be another episode after, and then after that I'll come back with more Theta's thoughts. So...
Correct.
Without much else then, I guess we can just go ahead and wrap up here. Once again, I have been Theta, this has been Justin, we've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?